evening, everyone. Hold on, let me turn this music down a little bit. So, play us in today, War Spirit. I've got us some reggae playing. Just a little bit of reggae. Now, why might I look into that? You will find out. But right now, Chief, pass me the blunt. Anyways, let's get into the news run real quick. War Spirit, what have we got today?
So, let me go back to my notes here so I can put it the same as what we were doing.
Oh, I'll tell you what, before we get into all that, let me pause the music for our special opening prayer.
Yep.
Lord, thank you for bringing us here together tonight. Thank you for your continued blessing. Thank you for allowing us to do this show every week and help us find your wisdom in everything we do, Lord. Give us grace, give us courage as the days keep growing darker and things keep getting more and more uncertain, Lord. Protect us and protect our listeners tonight, Lord. I pray for their families, and I pray for everyone who will stand firm in your word. Amen.
Amen.
So,
rundown. We got Suez Canal is unstuck. It's unplugged.
good. They added some laxatives to it.
Yeah, the Evergreen is free once again to go get stuck somewhere else.
Now I can get my shipment this week. Yay.
Hopefully.
Right.
I'm literally waiting on some parts for my vehicle, so. Funny thing with that.
Okay. So anyways, he was waiting for some parts for his vehicle, as he just described.
Yeah, so I was waiting for some parts for my vehicle, and I got to thinking about the whole debacle and mess. That's another reason why we need to be self-sufficient. If we were manufacturing, and I understand that's actually a really tough order, but if we were manufacturing more stuff here in the United States, we wouldn't have to worry about the Suez.
I agree. That's why I kind of sit back and I'm like, we should consider a more nationalized trade system.
Yeah, no, we should. Well, national. No, we need to. Yeah.
Well,
in country.
Sorry, not even a trade system, but an in-country manufacturing thing is rather what I'm going to get at, because we rely far too much on outside sources, which can be easily plugged. Look at Suez. Yeah. Look at China's entire industry if they decide to stop trading.
Even if that was not a nefarious act, now the bad guys know how they can mess with us. You want to mess with the United States?
Clog our
Screw up the
routes.
Suez Canal.
And I'm all for exports. I think exports are excellent.
Yes.
But a little less importing would be great. Now, I'm all for importing on the private scale where, it's just like, I go to Amazon and I want to buy a sexy Halloween costume that a lot of people may find grotesque on me because of my size, but it's my right to do it. And I
thought it looked very cute on you last year.
I appreciate that. My old Skinwalker outfit, which you can find at our channel at The Attack of the Skinwalker. It's a 15-minute film. Check it out. Anyways.
I apologize beforehand. I took the Lord's name in vain, and I shouldn't have.
Right.
But moving on. So we got that. We got Derek Chauvin's trial is hot and heavy right now.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, that.
The more I learn about the guy, he wasn't the best cop in the world. He had some issues, but he doesn't deserve this.
Right. And I mean, so it's one of those things where it's like there's plenty of other things you could have charged him for, but this isn't it.
Right.
So look at, so if you don't know who this Chauvin fella is, he was the officer, and I'm going to bring back some memories for y'all. You remember this whole George Floyd debacle that we had last year?
I can't breathe.
Well, he's the officer that was pictured supposedly standing on his neck, but after further evidence and watching videos, we found that he was actually just standing on the dude's shoulder blades, like in between them. Or not standing on them, but...
And so if you watch the whole video too, George Floyd was already complaining about having trouble breathing before he ever put him down on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Oh, I'm claustrophobic. I don't like cars," and so they pull him out of the car, and then they tell him, "Look, we got to handcuff you," and he starts fighting them. And that's when they throw him, getting to the ground, and all this. So he's already resisting arrest and saying, "Oh, I can't breathe," and the coroner's report, and we've talked about this before, but the coroner's report shows that he was on methamphetamines and fentanyl.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, fentanyl is the reason fentanyl is even like a thing in medical stuff is it's a basically a drug that they give you if you're gonna die anyways, right? You're in terrible pain, yada yada yada. They give you fentanyl, so it's an end of life drug, is what I actually found out through some studies with it. Not a recreational drug.
Right. Not a recreational drug. And fentanyl and methamphetamines has taken a lot of people in my personal life, so I understand how lethal it can be, and quickly too. So, as you said, the coroner had already said he's going to die in one way or the other. So, here's one of those things that, and I explained this, I explained my kind of view on it. It's like, well, if he was going to be charged for anything, it could be excessive force.
I would think so, because he should have, once George Floyd did stop moving.
Yeah.
Put him into the recovery position or checked his pulse, started CPR, that kind of stuff. So you could say basically officer neglect and excessive force.
Right.
I could see those two things sticking.
Yeah, but first degree murder? No.
Yeah. Even second or third degree. He didn't murder the man. He did neglect him. And that's horrible and that's awful.
Right. But it's not his fault that outright, anyways, that he died.
No, because he'd already taken his stuff. He'd already murdered himself.
Yeah, he was on his way out.
George Floyd's death was a suicide.
So.
But you're speaking about fentanyl not being a recreational drug. You know what is a recreational drug, John? Indeed? I didn't know that was a recreational drug.
You won't find any jobs that'll hire you on Indeed.com if you take this recreational drug. But
that is true. That is true. Right now, it is Governor Nazi Lujan Grisham. That is her full name. Was kind of him and Han about legalizing marijuana, and she did this week.
She did. Marijuana is now fully legal in in New Mexico, in the United States of New Mexico. Yeah, we're part of it. But in New Mexico, recreational marijuana use, that is weed just to get high for the sake of getting high, is legal. And, looking at that, I don't have any immediate problem with that. You know what I mean?
Nor do I.
I don't. Me and Worst Spirit are conservative. We are fairly conservative. We believe in the right wing in preserving our nation and our morals and what is good and what is right. But we also believe in this little thing which kind of puts us on a libertarian spectrum, not fully, but partially, is this thing of voluntarism, of do what you want, don't sink others' boats. So me and War Spirit, we would be happy to hear that marijuana is legal in the state, just because it's the government wants to allow us to do this thing. That's kind of nice, let the peasants eat cake. Wait a minute. Why would they do that to keep us from revolting? So that's kind of what I'm kind of getting from that war spirit. Wouldn't you agree? Is that
Well, it's a multifold thing.
yeah.
And yes, I think that's one of the things she wants is a populace that's getting more and more pissed off at her.
Both sides, by the way.
They give them an out to be able to just, sit on their couch, eat Cheetos, and get high.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's another aspect to this. So her a lot of her constituents, that very rich constituents that helped get her elected in the state of New Mexico, come to find out through different sources, and also even some stuff that Deborah Mayu had mentioned this week on it. I guess that was one of their stipulations, kind of not all the way said, but basically we're going to fund you to get you in, but you need to make sure and make marijuana legal.
Oh.
Yes.
I see.
And so she's already getting over halfway through her term here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the natives, proverbial, not to sound racist or anything, but the natives were getting restless.
Right.
And and this is just part of this is just a hunch. So don't, he doesn't have no proof. No, I don't. I don't have any like actual written proof.
Right.
But something tells me that they were pushing her, pressuring her, calling her, saying, "Hey, when are you going to get this done?" Because it just kind of come out of the blue, right? Oh, hey, we're going to legalize pot. Like, you would think, and I'm glad it's a little bit longer, but you would think she would be already going after the gun thing more right now, right? Because of the shooting and stuff that happened.
Right.
But instead, she goes after this and legalizes this.
Yeah, that's a bit odd, isn't it?
Yes. So I'm thinking that the powers that be that got her there were like, it's time for you to pay up, little girl.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a bit interesting. So, I mean, there's a lot of pros. Hopefully, the economy has a boost from this.
Well, let's go on the economic side of it. Every state that's ever had marijuana, they tax the crap out of it, which is good. I have no problem taxing a controlled substance.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to have fun doing this, well, you're gonna pay for it. That's fine by me. Here's the issue. So, in all of her wisdom, she decided to make the recreational marijuana. She's going to take that tax money from that recreational marijuana and subsidize people who were already on marijuana for medical reasons, quote unquote, with their medical marijuana card.
Right.
So basically, saying, oh, these people that are on it, they need it, yada yada yada. So I'm going to pay for them with it with the subsidies. Here's the issue, John. Do you know how you can get you know what the requirements for getting a medical marijuana card in the state of New Mexico? Well, you see, you go to your doctor, right?
Okay.
And you say, Doctor so and so. Let's talk about the late great Dr. Poe.
Is he dead?
I believe he did. I believe he passed away. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. Or he was having health problems, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't know that. He was my family doctor for a while.
I love Dr. Poe.
He's an awesome guy.
Yeah. You go to Dr. Poe and you say, "Hey, Dr. Poe. I'm feeling very anxious. I got PTSD from work. the people I deal with are just like, they're driving me crazy.
Right.
And Dr. Poe says, "Hey, I don't know if Dr. Poe would do this or not, guys. I'm just using him as an example. And he's a public figure since he's a doctor, so I can say his name."
Right.
The doctor says, "Oh, okay. Well, you know what, John? I'm gonna write you a prescription. Do you think maybe medical marijuana would help?" And you say, "It probably would." And
Right.
so then you get your prescription. You go, you pay I think it's $200 for the license. I think for a year. I think.
Right.
I don't know because I've never really looked that deep into it because where I work, there's no way I could ever do that stuff.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
I think it's about $200. So you go, you pay your $200, you get your card, and then you got your license. So why in the world, if you found out now that Miss Lujan Grisham is going to pay for your marijuana if you have a card, would you pay for it recreationally?
Right.
So now all the people who are going to get it recreationally are like, well, shoot, if I'm going to get it for free, I'll just go get my card. So
Right.
everybody's going to get their card, and then there'll be nobody to pay for it.
Right. I don't know. I think a lot of people won't bother with that. But I don't know. I've been surprised by how much people will bother to loophole a system before.
Look at how many people are on welfare. Welfare is a pain in the butt to get on.
Right. And
Yet there's tons of people on it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. You're right. So maybe, right? I mean, I wish it wasn't that way, but it's very possible. So we're looking at things. It's like, as well as just the effects of weed. Like, I'm a young guy. I've got stoner friends. Ain't gonna lie to you. And I've been high. I've been high before. Ain't gonna lie to you. And I find it quite enjoyable. In fact, I would prefer being high over drunk any day. No hangover. Usually things are a lot more enjoyable, like jokes or the Pink Panther, the cartoon. Pretty great. But there is kind of a problem where it's like where I sit as where I am now, like doing this show, for example, right? I'm not an apathetic person. For me to get up on Fridays and plan this show out with War Spirit, I'm in my soberest of minds and I have a reason, a mission to do it. But what I've noticed with a lot of these friends and stuff is that's kind of their main goal in life is just to live to get high. Almost like a junkie. I'm not going to push some, Reagan Dare crap where it's like, oh, weed'll kill you deader than a doornail. No, it's just like alcohol, just like being drunk. But, because people, oh, marijuana can't kill you, and some people, it's good for you. Some people are really, I think, going to bite that and sink it in to where they don't realize that through smoking marijuana, they've ruined their ambition. Maybe it's not fatal, but it can definitely get you in a loop where you're just like, oh, I just want to feel good tonight. So it's not like physically addicting where like your body craves it, but your mind craves it because you enjoy it.
Not only that, so here comes the second issue with the bill that she passed.
Yeah.
And it's gonna go right into what you was talking about there. She decriminalized the possession of marijuana by minors.
So minors can just carry it around?
So it's still illegal for them to have it,
right.
But they won't get in trouble. Don't now tell me, does that make sense?
Well, I mean, in this state,
you're not supposed to have it, it's illegal, but we're not going to punish you for it being illegal.
Right. It's like, you're not supposed to, kid, but I can't do anything about it.
You can't buy it, but if the cops find it on you, there's nothing they can do about
it. They might be able to take it away.
The wording I read, it basically meant like that it's decriminalized. So if it's decriminalized, how could they legally take something from you? That would be like if a cop came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I like that notebook you have there." Like, well, it's not your notebook. Well, yeah, but I can take anything I want from you.
That's
No,
fair.
you can't.
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe not then. That's just a bit
Yeah.
odd. Like, you're not supposed to, but there's no reason for them not to.
Correct. And so the reason I say it ties into what John was saying, the issue with marijuana and minors, it's already been proven that marijuana actually alters a minor's brain because they're not done developing, right?
Yeah.
So it actually messes with their development. There's been studies with this. And they don't reach full cognitive ability if they're on marijuana.
Right.
Meaning they get stuck with the brain of a kid.
Jeez.
That's why you see a lot of these stoners that, like, the whole Cheech and Chong thing. Hey, wow, man, like, hey, I'm just gonna go down here, Well, yeah, man. That's their brains are fried because they were doing this pre-adolescent.
Yeah, it destroys in time. Like, this is one of they'll never admit to this. A lot of potheads is, oh no, that's just a bunch of scare tactic. Look, yeah, I get it. It's less dangerous than literally every other narcotic or drug or everything else that you could smoke. Even less dangerous than tobacco, dare I say.
Right.
But the point is, long-term excessive use of marijuana has been shown to slow the brain and cause permanent damage to basically the processing function of just being able to look at something, comprehend it, and then just be like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, you see a picture of a dog, for example, and they're like, oh, that's a dog. For someone who's severely into it, they'll look at that and be like, what kind of fuzzy creature is that, man? You know what I mean? Like, they'll just be gone.
Yeah. And I've heard a story from an older gentleman that was talking that used to, I think he ran a mechanic shop or something. And he had this kid that he hired, and he was a pothead. And he finally, after like 3 or 4 weeks, let him go because he had to tell him the exact same thing he wanted him to do every day. The kid could never remember simple things. Like, hey, first thing when you get here, I don't know the kid's name. Let's call him Joe. Joe, the first thing you do when you get here is I want you to sweep the floor. Oh, okay. So he would sweep the floor. But then the next day you get there, hey, Joe, have you swept the floor? Oh, no, man. I told you the first thing you're supposed to do is you're supposed to sweep the floor. Oh, okay. So you do it. Then the next day, still wasn't catching on. 3 or 4 weeks of this.
Jeez.
So to tell me, maybe some not, but to tell me that it doesn't affect people is bullcrap.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's an end all be all evil.
Right.
I'm not saying it's reefer madness.
Right. Don't inject the weeds, kids.
Yeah. I'm going to take this and I'm going to kill people. That was like reefer. For those of you who don't know, YouTube reefer madness. You'll laugh your butt off. Because it's on YouTube, the whole thing.
Apathy.
They come up with it like in the 50s, I think, 40s or 50s, and it basically was this like program, and it shows like what happens if you're on the reefer. You're gonna turn into a murderer and all this other stuff, and yeah. Basically, the worst thing usually that happens is you get really hungry, and you want to sit around and do nothing, which again. It's another reason why Christian will like it.
Right. It's what I was sitting into. It's like apathy already plagues our state pretty rough. There's so many people who just don't care. It is the hardest struggle I was about to say, it's like, I think starting a political show in this area is going to be the hardest challenge, I think, like, out of a lot of other places that you could start one, because just how little people care, one, about their time on Earth, and two, about what the government is doing. Like, it is so
Right.
frequent in this town, like, and this is just kind of a affiliated rant, is how much people just don't care. It bothers me. Like, you would think they're a bunch of depressed psychopaths just walking
Right.
around moping, staring at the floor, not doing a dang thing with their life, and they're just kind of happy with this, and they don't care. It's like, so whenever you talk to them, they're like, "Yeah, it's cool, man, but who cares?" That fluoride stare. They just
Mhm.
they don't want to hear it. They don't want to deal with it, because why? Because it calls them to action. That is the last thing they want, and it bothers me. It bothers me, and I feel very lonely, because everyone else is happy just to sit down, smoke weed, and go to their mundane little job selling, I don't know, freaking vacuum cleaners, and they're none the wiser. They don't care. It's like, at least give me like radical leftists or something. Come on. Well, why is this town so apathetic? So I'm a little bothered by that, because I was like, oh, well, now that it's legal, now people are just going to be 3 times, I'm going to put 3, more apathetic than they already were. It's
Mhm.
going to be like, oh, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of like smoke weed and like, I don't know. That's about it, man. I just like smoke weed and play video games. And it bothers me, because in order to get things done, you need hands. And where are your hands? They're inside smoking dope, not caring about their future or their family or you, you know?
Right.
And that's why I started this show, is because I care about these people.
Right.
That's kind of a Christian calling, is even though these people are silly, and I'm often silly myself, not to put myself on a pedestal over everyone else, but that's just it. It's like, well, I care about these people, even though for the most part, all I see is a bunch of druggies, alcoholics, and nitwits.
It is true. He can be silly sometimes. He laughs at fish that go. "Brrr."
I'll have to show that sometime. The puffer fish. Yeah, you can look it up. It's a talking puffer fish, and it just goes bleh, and it just cracks me up. I guess maybe I'm high, right? So what do we want to get into? Is that our news run?
Yeah, that was the basics of our nose run. I really don't want to get too deep into the Derek Chauvin stuff.
Yeah.
I have some things on it, but it's
I just don't want to talk about it. You'll find
honestly,
out what
yeah,
you need to know from the news. We're here to talk
that's just
about what you ain't gonna hear about. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. And
Um.
so there is
Oh, War Spirit, that local bit you were talking about, Animus Valley Mall this morning.
yeah, that's what I was actually gonna get into. Um I hope I'm wrong, but I have gut feelings sometimes, audience, and usually my gut feeling is usually pretty dead on close to stuff. And there's a young lady that went missing on the 31st. Her name is Antonia Gonzalez. She's 13 years old. She's 5'1". This is all off of Farmington Police Department Facebook page. She's 120 pounds, blonde and blue hair, like half is blonde, the other half is blue, and with brown eyes. And it says on the Farmington Police Department's page, Antonia was last seen wearing a black shirt and blue jeans in the area of the Animus Valley Mall on 3/31/21 with another girl around the same age. Anyone with information asked to call dispatch at 505-334-6622 about case number 21-161. 3994.
Let me type that out. Hold on. Let me go into the live chat and I'll type that out for everyone. So that is what?
Sure.
So let's get firstly the name of the missing individual.
Yes, name Antonia, Antonia, and then Gonzalez, common spelled. Age 13. Height 5 foot 1 inch. Weight 120 pounds. Hair blonde and blue. And her eyes are brown. Antonio was last seen wearing a black shirt and blue jeans in the area of Animas Valley Mall on 3/31/21 with another girl around the same age. Anyone with information is asked to call dispatch at 505-334-6622. That's non-emergency for all of you guys who don't know what that number is.
That's 505
334-6622. 6622. And the case number is 21-16394. And so I see this young lady's picture, and you can go on the Farmington Police Department, and also I believe I posted it on our stuff too. My heart just breaks for her. You look at her face, and just to know, hopefully nothing's wrong with her. Maybe she's just like, run off somewhere partying or something. I hope that's just it. But with all of the human trafficking and stuff right now, it just makes my stomach sick. And what's weird is, and I don't know if this other girl is missing either, because they don't mention her, but they said she was last seen with another girl the same age. Well, where is she? Who is she?
Right. Who is she? What does this mean?
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of weird. Maybe she's fine. Maybe that's why they didn't mention her name. But if so, then hopefully she can tell her where, who did she leave with? Where did she go?
Exactly.
I just hope we don't have another lamp and light situation.
Exactly. And so, sorry, I've been typing it out. That's why I was a little bit distant. But yeah, no, it sank in my heart. I'm like, Doug! It! Like, it just makes me want to scream. Because I want children to feel safe in this town. I want children to feel safe across the world, but I can start here.
Mm-hmm.
And after so much has come about and has gone down, and I just can't help, it just makes me furious, because it's kind of defeating. It's like, well, how come she went missing? Right? How come these kids go missing in our area? And yeah, I'm sure it's trafficking, but it's also like her parents, right? Like,
yeah.
She's a 13-year-old girl. What is she doing? Getting lost, like
by herself.
Yeah, by herself. That a lot of people, 13's way too young to be out and about by yourself.
Yeah.
Unless you got like some kind of adult leaders that your parents trust around, like say like a church program. But
well, I mean, to be fair, I went to the mall when I was like 14 by myself when I was a kid, but that was back in the day.
saying, yeah,
That was back in 1999.
hell, even that could be said. I went around too, 13, 14, 15. I went all over town by myself.
Also, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, but we're dudes.
Yeah. See, people like Epstein, they didn't really.
We're not some $120 little girl that.
Right. And I was a fat kid too, so they would have hell and high water trying to kidnap me.
Oh, I was a skinny kid, but I'd have put up a fight.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm sorry, folks, but in my opinion, and it always will be this way, the rules are different for females.
Yeah. And that's just how it is.
Just how it is.
And we're saying this because we love you. We're not saying this to put guys above anyone.
Want to protect you.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing to put guys on that same equal level again. It's probably guys kidnapping.
So, yeah. I guarantee you, whoever the
it's not like this equivalent of nonsense. No, listen. There are guys that like to kidnap, and statistically, the kidnappers like to kidnap females. Statistically, young ones.
Correct.
So it's just frustrating, and I'm sure that the family is worried. The family that does care about her, hopefully her parents care about her. Which, if so, I pray for the whole family involved. I pray for her, and again, it's just frustrating, man. It makes me want to cry because we saw Lamp of Light. My heart was crushed when I found out what happened to that woman. I thought we were making ahead, right? I thought we were getting ahead. We were finding her. I wanted to find her shot in the head, and this town is a sad place. I get it. We had an officer die on us recently, and another tragic way, a young woman taken from this earth with a baby in her womb, and it's just all so much, man. And I ask our audience, if you listen to this, please pray. It's the least you can do is pray. Sit down, turn off all distractions, kneel, and even if you're not in a good spot in your walk with God, I don't care, pray. Send messages to God. We need help here. It's a dystopia. Our businesses are in ruin. Our economy is the hell. There's child abductors in our backyard sent from the cabal itself. It's defeating, man. It's rough. We need help.
And you're right. The least we can do is pray. And then also the next step that I would urge all of you, and I know this has kind of become a cliche phrase, but I still use it. All of you sheepdogs out there, do your part. Be aware of your surroundings. If you're at the mall and some little girl's walking around and there's some dude hanging around her that don't look like he belongs there, go up to him and ask him, "Hey, bro, how you doing?" Interject yourself into stuff. I get so tired of the modern American way of thinking of they take the whole "not my circus, not my monkeys" to an extreme, where they'll see something obviously going on that's astray, and they'll be like, "Well, I don't want to get involved."
Yeah, it's like, I'm just gonna stay in my own lane, and you see, that's another thing, talking about that weed mentality, that fluoride bullcorn. It's like, oh yeah, no, I don't care. What's that got to do with me? Selfish.
Exactly.
Exactly. I don't like that.
So, take some time. If you see something, say something.
Yes, sir. That's kind of a saddening way to start our segments, isn't it?
And the second thing with that is carry a firearm.
Important.
If you don't have your concealed carry permit, go get your dang concealed carry permit and carry a firearm.
Okay, sorry. I'm working.
And your knife.
All right, that's enough out of you.
And a flashlight.
And a flashlight.
And an Israeli bandage. And a tourniquet.
There's a lot to carry to be prepared for the day,
That is correct. That is correct. Speaking of which,
Not quite yet, but
Yeah.
in leading up to, I understand we got some. You're going to learn us some stuff with history.
Yep, we're going to talk about some history today, ladies and gentlemen. My favorite thing to talk about.
The
other
history
than
of the Snickers candy bar.
Yep, the histories of the goofy ass helmets used in history. Oh, well, that's a spoiler. Anyways, all right, moments in history.
Recently stricken.
Hold on. That's okay. Yeah.
Before we go into that, though, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You know how you can keep somebody from streaking?
How's that, War Spirit?
Use Windex. It gets rid of streaks.
Yep, not a bad idea.
Yeah. So just word of thought for you there.
I like it.
That's we're talking about improving our community, and that would keep people from streaking. Is to use Windex.
Right. So, what I was going to be talking about outside of your goofball dad jokes here.
I totally messed up his train of thought, folks.
Yeah, no.
That's
Sorry,
awesome.
no, I was just, again, I'm just typing out that stuff and posting it around. So, throughout history, mankind has strived for different forms of protection for their body, for their head, for their cup, for whatever, for their business.
Latex.
So on and so forth. Mankind has looked for protection. But there's a certain piece of your body that's the most important, and they even tell you to wear it when you're a kid and riding a bike because anything could happen, and if that's damaged, you ain't working anymore. That is your head. So what we've gotten into this week is helmets. And apparently condoms. But
I was gonna say, you keep talking about this, and it just keeps. Yeah, I could see. Yeah. I don't know, bicycle. I don't know about that, but
anyhow, helmets. So military fashion kind of started out in the Napoleonic era when we started getting into more of a modern scale where we used muskets and guns and rifles. So helmets were kind of old-fashioned. They weighed you down, and none of the helmets at the time during the Napoleonic conflict were going to protect from a bullet anyways, or a ball in those days. So they would wear these ridiculous hats that it just looked ridiculous. They had bright feathers, and you didn't hide in the European conflicts. You stood in a line and you shot at each other, i.e. look at the revolution,
Right.
So that was pretty commonplace. But let's fast forward to World War I when everything started to change. This was a big time of prototypes, tests, different things with armor, equipment, rifles, guns, explosives. It was a gold rush, a massive, massive influx of ideas on how to protect yourself and how to get hiccups on your show. Anyways. So, the Germans came up with what was called the Pickelhase, or the Pickelhaube, however you want to say it, which was a helmet, and you can find that on the Discord there, War Spirit. It's the one that has the spike on the top. It's kind of the standard German World War I comedy helmet. So in early World War I, this was kind of borrowed, however. The Pickelhaube was borrowed from the Napoleonic era cavalry units and was still used by cavalry in World War I for the most part. A lot of people kind of ponders, was it designed for you to run at the enemy and impale them with your helmet? No. It was, again, they hadn't gotten past that whole fashionista nonsense where they wanted to show off.
Just think it looked cool, yeah.
Yeah.
So was this guy in the picture, was his name Dill?
Why?
Dill Pickelhaus?
Dig Pickelhaube. Yeah, that's pretty funny. But the British had a very interesting concept as well. The British entered World War I with what was the British and the Americans, but the British were in there first with this. We're using the Doughboy helmet, which is it looks kind of like an upside down plate/bowl on your forehead.
Yeah.
Picture to the right, ladies and gentlemen. You can kind of see it there. This was the standard for the Allied forces in World War I against the Central Powers. This was designed more apt for shrapnel coming down, as well as like maybe bayonet charges coming from the top of the trench, as it encompasses more of an umbrella type style to cover from the top and around kind of your shoulders, your immediate organs.
It's actually very also reminiscent in World War II to the Japanese helmets.
Right. Which also kind of brings to the point, if you look at the German standard helmets of World War I, which I've got up now, there's a picture on Discord with two reenactment people standing together there. This is what was known as the M17, I believe. It's on the dude on the right for you, War Spirit. That is the M17 German helmet. As you can see, it has a visor that sticks out forward. This was also used by the Austro-Hungarians before the Empire fell, and also after the Empire fell in World War II, where they fought on German side again. As you can see, it also covers the ears a bit more from sideways projectiles. It also was a bit thicker of steel. Was a interesting development, is that it was just a little bit more hardy. But of course, it didn't protect the body from the top side as much as the Doughboy helmets did. But it was undeniably a German design, easy to make, cheap to manufacture, and also just simple. They also kept the very similar design, pretty much point for point, down to the core in World War II. So another thing about World War I that was fascinating was the prototype helmets that were seen. Let me see here. So on the left here, audience, we have a prototype helmet that was used by Germany. It was common for people who carried the LMGs and that sort of thing to actually have this helmet, the machine gunners. And that's the one, it curves down over the nose, which is interesting. Kind of protect more of your face from getting shot back at, getting, just a bit more of a facial covering. And then finally was a... Did I add that in?
Can you imagine going cross-eyed wearing that thing? It's like, all I see is this lump in between my eyes.
It would drive me up a wall, personally.
You imagine trying to sight down a machine gun with that thing in the way?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Let me see about adding another image here.
What about the Doughboy helmet with the freaking face mask?
That's what I was looking for here. U.S. helmet.
The face mask looks angry.
There it is. So I went ahead and put it on screen, ladies and gentlemen. So this was a prototype used by the Americans. Probably not used, but tested by the Americans.
Yeah.
If I were to say this were to be used, it would probably be for a similar cause, would be an LMG. But this is undeniably an American helmet. It's just kind of an interesting thing. They were you can see the medieval ways of combat kind of coming back, but in a more modern fashion, as they were trying to figure out what to keep from the old ways and what to leave behind. So it's kind of interesting.
That's the very fascinating part about World War I, is it was kind of a they were dawning into a new era of war.
Right.
And so, yeah, like you said, that they were trying to figure, because I mean, that was the last war pretty much that I know of. I mean, World War II maybe had some, but they still prevalently used horses.
Right.
So yeah, they were trying to figure out, will this still work? And then they found out real quick that the whole trench warfare thing didn't work so well.
Yeah, it was a very costly and ineffective way of warfare for all sides involved. So that moves me into World War II. the kind of refined World War One, where our gear made more sense, our pockets, our uniforms, all started to make more sense. So the biggest advancement in helmet tech was the Americans. You may have noticed that I haven't mentioned any of the other European countries. Well, that's simply because their helmets were silly and of no use at all. They were stupid, pointless, and dumb. However, Americans in World War One went about with this new design that kind of had more of a visor on it. And it also covered the ears a bit more, but it was lighter than the German helmet by quite a lot. It also kind of put to effect this new thing that they'd been experimenting with. Instead of just solid steel, a little bit of this thing called Kevlar, or prototype kind of Kevlar for World War II American soldiers. It was lighter, and the helmets were also more designed to be able to hold things on them like a net, which you could molly things to the net. It was actually really cool. We kept this design of helmet, while everyone else never really changed their helmet design, i.e. the British, which even in World War II still kept the same design as the ancient doughboys, because I guess they just loved it so much. But the British and the Americans fighting the Germans, these two images, it just kind of started to show. Even the British, though, they looked at our boys and said, "Oh, it'd be kind of cool if I could carry stuff on my helmet." So they started adding nets and stuff like that. And that being said, though, the British helmet sucked for carrying things because of how rounded out they were. Things would just kind of, they wouldn't dangle very well, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, because I have a British helmet here, and it is extremely difficult to molly anything to it, stick anything to it. It's just it's an alright helmet, but inferior to the Germans and the Americans of World War II. Americans kept that same design of helmet all the way into Vietnam. Which is for lack of a better term, they call it the piss pot. Common phrase for it. But this is the standard American Vietnam era helmet. This was used through Korea, Vietnam, and World War II. In Vietnam, soldiers took to personalizing them a lot more, adding cigarette packs, graffiti, as in like Sharpie stuff. You know, they'd Sharpie like property of U.S. government.
Kilroy was here.
And of course, if I hold the World War II soldier up, you'll notice pretty much same helmet. But they also, more in Vietnam, they started adding camo, which I believe was a British idea. The British were the first to actually camouflage their helmets. They added these they're kind of like skins. They're like these fabric cloths that are in camo patterns. So the Vietnam pattern was, of course, perfect for the jungle. And it was okay for the jungle. In fact, I'd rather say it's far from perfect. Tiger Stripe, I think, was a bit better for the jungle environments, which you could find sometimes skins of that pattern of Tiger Stripe with the black accents, which normally, yeah, you want to stay away from black accents, but the shadows of the jungle help out, you know. So, after Vietnam, we got more into the Middle Eastern conflicts, which brings me to Iraqi Freedom and Desert Storm. Let's see, where did that go? Where is it? Show it on the screen. What the heck? Why isn't it there? Why isn't it there? Is that it right there? No. Hold on, I think I've moved all of my images all topsy-turvy, so let me load up a new one. Let's see here. So I'm going to show you what our boys wore in Desert Storm. There we are. Bam. So these were called the PAS GT helmets. They were heavily enforced with Kevlar, heavier than our standard World War II helmets, but also far more effective. As you can see, they also kept that same concept of skins of the fabric, which they would keep around, wrapped around the helmet. Such as the chalky chip pattern here, which they adopted for the Desert Storm environment. They come down over the ears, which is, of course, designed to keep you protected from sideways headshots and that sort of thing. And overall, one of the best helmets that I think our soldiers ever got the pleasure of wearing. However, they were excruciatingly heavy in comparison to other variants. It was also popular among journalists to have the PAS GT. Very popular. So, that's our moments in history of just kind of going through the Allied and Axis forces of helmets. Every enemy out there has kind of... These things have kind of gone universal, I think would be the best way to put it, because like every force that wasn't just kind of like grabbing parts and stuff used the PSGTs, other than of course police officers who used like riot helmets and stuff that were more based around a civilian environment, but militarily that pretty much covers it, starting in World War I and up. So going in further, we finally get the latest in head protection and the greatest, and my honest opinion, which is known as the high cut. So let's go ahead and slide into your segment, War Spirit.
Sure. So the high cut helmet, it started off as mostly just a special operations deal. The SEALs were looking for, they still wanted their guys to have ballistics protection on their head, but they kind of made a sacrifice, right? And so they cut off the ear portion of the helmet for two reasons. One, to make it lighter, because when you think of especially special ops guys and everything, they want to get in and get out really fast and hard, right?
Right.
And so every ounce counts. That's another reason why the SEAL teams went with the Glock 19, is because they didn't want the full size because it was lighter.
So would you say, War Spirit, and it's because I forgot to do these earlier, that the high cut is a great helmet?
It's a good helmet. There are sacrifices.
I have the stream available if you want to check it out. I'm going to play this for our audience real quick.
Get that thing fixed. We're back, and we have the combination. London. What? We're done with you. Go back to the golf course and work on your putts.
Let's go, Arnold. Come, Gretchen. Of course, you know I'll still have to bill you for this.
Oh, I bet she gives great helmet.
I love it.
You see right here, this one, he covers his whole ears and his face. And he can drink coffee through his mask, which
He can.
I'm thoroughly jealous. I don't think I can do that with my current setup.
Oh my gosh, hold on. I gotta see if I can find that drinking coffee face balls. Hold on. I don't want to get a freaking DMCA strike. I gotta find the clip and then
Yeah, we have just a few seconds.
yeah. There it is.
Which I always find so funny. It's like it's already on YouTube. So
Right.
Hot! Too hot! Dearly beloved, we are gathered here on...
I love it. And of course, a little bit of Charlie Chaplin here that I had lined up. Love this little skit. Oh, doggone it. Hold on, I gotta put it back a little bit. There we go. No, what? No, back. There we go. Surely, right? Yeah. Oh, I love those old silent films, but that's kind of the little comedy bits we had up for you guys. But getting back into the High Point, which is the lightest, I think, helmet to come out in recent years. High Cut. Did I say something else?
You said High Point. We're not talking about the heat cannon, please. We here at Is Today That Ain't Media do not support the High Point pistol.
It's a pretty durable little piece of equipment.
Hey, if it's all you got, I guess it's a step up from the Liberator. But just one step up.
Right.
So there's some things I want to kind of cover real quick. Again, kind of going in again, like John kind of used the history and stuff of the older stuff. And let's go in kind of the modern history again. So the Seals are the ones that started the High Cut. I really like the design of it because one, it's not so heavy on your head, and two, and this is the most important in my opinion, is you can actually use hearing protection with it and also comms. There's lots of different ones out there. The actual military grade comms that you can put on it. You know, he has your microphone and everything built in. But for the civilian sheepdog, those they're really, really expensive. You're talking about a $500-$600 pair of earphones, right?
Right.
So there's a compromise you can do that works really well. You get yourself a pair of the Howard Lay Sports Impact ear pros,
Right.
that you can buy off of Amazon. They're about anywhere from $40 to $60. They really actually really fluctuate. I got mine for about $50 at the time that I bought them.
Right.
And they work great. And here's the cool thing over the military version. So the military version that's got the name of it's actually escaping me right now.
So what version is yours, Warspirit?
Mine's the Howard Lay Impact. That's what I'm going into here. Is most sheepdogs can't afford the $500-$600 military grade ones, right?
Right.
And here's a bad thing about them. Even once they're down, once they're clicked into place, and we'll go into clicking into place and what I mean by that. You can't hear anything. They are actually noise canceling, right? So you can hear your guys on your comms, but the outside world you can't hear that well.
Right, which is kind of a bad thing.
That's not a good thing in a combat scenario.
Right. I can't hear this guy. Yeah, no, I don't like that.
So the Howard Lay ear pros, you can hear actually just as good or a little bit better than with your just naked ear until you start shooting. And then it cuts the sound out.
Right.
They're of course battery operated, so you do got to remember that you know, if you don't have the batteries in them, they're going to be just like any other earphones. You won't be able to hear. But you have that advantage with them. Now the disadvantage is it doesn't come with a mic setup for your comms. But here's what you can do. You take your comms, whether that be a Baofeng UV5R or whatever, and you plug a cordless mic into it, right? And you run it over your shoulder up and then clip it to your web gear or your shirt. And then on that mic, because most of those cordless mics also have a 3.5 jack, like a little earphone jack in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You plug in a little mono jack into that, or just actually a 3.5 to 3.5, and the Howard Lays actually have a 3.5 jack into that as well.
Snazzy.
So you click into that, and then you can hear your radio comms in your Howard Lay ear pros. So the only difference is now you're going to have a push button and you'll have to talk into a mic still. But Everything else works just like the military grade stuff that you buy. It's $600-700.
Right.
So that's your civilian sheepdog way of doing it. You do have to get an adapter for the Howard Lays, because the Howard Lays come with your like the hoop, like basically like the headphones that I'm wearing right now that I'm talking to you has that hoop that goes over your head.
Right.
So what you got to have, and they're let's see, I posted the actual part number for it. The 3M. Oh, Peltor is the name of the military grade earphones, by the way. 3M makes the conversions for the Peltors to go on your helmet. Well, you can also use those for the Howard Lays. They work. There's lots of videos out there on YouTube to show you how to do that, how to convert the Howard Lays to fit the 3M conversion for the helmet. Just type in EarPro 3M helmet conversion and you'll find it. But I've included that on John, on the pictures on here, the 3M part number, so people can actually look that up and get it on Amazon. So if you want to post that, that'd be cool.
Okay. Yeah. Is that link in the Discord?
It's in Discord. Yes, it's on show notes.
Let me see.
All the pictures that I'm talking about are on show notes.
Oh, okay. So I'm going through our pictures here. Is that the
3M?
Yeah, 3M. I got that right here. Good. They can see it.
That's the part number you guys need to look for. You type that into Amazon, you'll find it. They're pricey. They're about $60. But let me warn you, there are cheaper ones on Amazon.
There you go. And saving money is important.
Well, not in this case. The cheaper ones on Amazon are the cheap Airsoft knockoffs. They're not 3M. And they don't click into place. And that's the reason why I said I was going to get into that, like the 3M ones do. So on your helmet, and let's see, post up the picture of the helmet that's upside down, and you can see the earphones folded in.
Okay, yeah. They were seeing that for a minute. Let me throw that back up. There we go.
Okay, so on your helmet, see, this is with them clicked in. Now, obviously, with your head in there, they're not going to be shoved in that far, right?
Hopefully not.
But there's actually a click in and click out. Now, everybody listen, watch.
Oh.
You guys hear that?
Yeah, they could hear that, I think.
That audible click is it's actually two little settings. So this is out and that's in. When you push it in, that's what shoves up against your ears. So you can pull them out and actually leave them down, and you can still hear everything, and they're out of the way, whatever. You can actually even fold them up behind the helmet. But the Airsoft ones, they don't have a real positive stiff engagement on the spring, and so they don't push into your ears very well, and so it doesn't cancel the sound.
Right.
And so you want to get a good positive push so it seals around your ears. The Airsoft ones don't do that. So you do need to buy the actual Peltor 3M brand. That's why I included that part number. They're $60. So it's basically the same price as buying another pair of Howard Lays, but they're worth it.
Right. I like that a lot, man. And I like how you've gone about designing this helmet you found from the bunker.
Yeah, so if you want a pair of these, go hit up Joe at the bunker. He's a great guy. He works there. He is the guy that orders a lot of this stuff. He's very knowledgeable. He can get you set up with protection. Because look, guys, this, some people might look at this helmet and go, "Oh, wow, this guy's an extremist. He's got a helmet." Well, if something goes bump in the night and you think somebody might be there to hurt you, wouldn't you want something to protect your head?
Nice. Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Even if it's just some drunk guy that comes in the breaks into the house in the middle of the night or whatever, I might not necessarily even have to shoot the guy because I can just ram my head into his face. That's another good thing with helmets. You won't get hurt. You're gonna hurt them.
Yeah, they're gonna feel that hunk of Kevlar
Yeah.
and metal that just smacked into their forehead. So
that's another cool thing. So this helmet contains no steel. It's all Kevlar.
that's neat, man.
It's level 3A. And that's the NIJ rating. That means, folks, that this helmet will take up to a 44 Magnum, dead on.
Oh, nice.
Now, I wouldn't want to get hit in the head with a 44 Magnum. Let's back on up here. You are going to have, at the very least, a concussion.
Right, you're gonna be a little dizzy.
You're going to get your bell rung. Now, unfortunately, still with level 3A, and there's very, very few helmets that go beyond 3A anyways, a rifle round's still going to zip right through this.
Oh yeah, sadly.
If
I've
you
seen
hit
that.
it square.
Hmm.
But if you hit it grazing, it's still going to graze off of it.
Right. It's handy to have a helmet.
Yes.
If you're going to have it, I strongly suggest, if you can afford it, get yourself a high cut.
So going back, talking about the helmets at the bunker, unfortunately, the ones they have there, they just come in black.
Yeah, you can see it right here, ladies and gentlemen, the black variant on
Yeah, post
on
up
this-
my ugly mug or
this
something on there.
handsome man. Nah, that's what they've been looking at. You've been staring at the camera in this picture for a good 5 minutes.
Ooh, that's not good. That's not good. Take that crap down.
Yeah, but there it is. That's the standard black variant of.
Yeah. And so that's what it looked like
Yeah.
when you buy it over at the bunker.
Yeah.
Memory serves me right. I think price before tax is about $400. For this level 3 NIJ, which sounds high, but if you go like with a Team Wendy helmet, which is a great company, don't get me wrong, Team Wendy's awesome. And if you want to go Team Wendy, please do so, because you're actually supporting an American company. But you're looking at $600 to $700 for that helmet.
Right, but also, I really like just kind of going through your photos here. So you took a picture of it here in the middle of spray painting on your door there.
Yeah,
And it looks like you started with a base of green.
I did. So that's what I'm going to get into. So I didn't want it to be black, right? Because black is it stands out because black is not natural in nature.
Yep.
Okay. So anything other than black, and I didn't really quite get the colors right. I might go back and redo this. But that's the only colors that Home Depot had at the time.
Right. So let me go to the netting as you upgraded it.
Yes. So you start off with whatever your base color is. So I figured, I'm going to be walking. My head's going to be going through trees, right, and bushes.
Mhm.
So you want the most prevalent color to be your base color. And then here's a really cool thing you can do with netting. And I started off with bigger netting. I didn't like that. So I went to actually an orange bag. Works really good, folks. So those oranges that you get, those little cuties, those little miniature oranges, get you one of those bags and stretch over it, and then do your different color, whether that be tan or another green. I actually had two other colors of green and some tan in this. You pull that, stretch that netting over it, and kind of hit it again with paint, and you get almost like a scale look.
You can see how that kind of looks here, ladies and gentlemen. I went down to the one with the orange pattern, the orange bag pattern. That's that net
Yes.
you get oranges in, just to clarify, everybody.
Yeah.
And it's that like bright orange usually, and you just kind of stretch that over, and it will give you a reptilian. I call it reptilian camo.
Yeah.
It looks like a
And
lizard skin. It's actually really neat.
I really like it. It came out pretty well. I did have a little bit of overspray on the Velcro where I kind of messed up on some of the corners, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
there's a few photos that I took by setting the helmet out in like the bushes and stuff.
So there's this
And
one
as-
here. Sorry, you got it in a tree. I like that.
Yeah. So it's not the best coloration for our area, but it's again better than black. I should have actually took some pictures of it setting in nature in black, but I didn't think about that. I just wanted to get it painted. But as you can see, it kind of stands out, but there's a couple, especially that second one, it actually is pretty hard to see.
Yeah, it took me a moment.
Yeah. So the camo does for all intents and purposes do its job. Now, one of the very last photos I took, and this is the most important, folks, if you're going to have a helmet, you get you some morale patches, because that Mulan Labe patch at the top, that makes it 10% more effective. Just letting you know.
Adds a buff to your helmet, damage buff.
Yeah, your roll, it adds actually 10 to your defense.
Yeah. So he has himself and it's a nice color for it too. It's a nice little bit of a coyote brown with a green background, Mulan Labe. That being said, I wouldn't suggest your patch be some like ridiculous like dark black and bright red text patch. I see those a lot.
Yeah, don't get any. If you're going to do morale patches, and I'm not huge on morale patches, but I didn't like this black Velcro. That's why, and I actually have 2 other patches coming.
Right.
That's going to help kind of cover up this black Velcro.
Right.
Get something that's neutral colors, because you don't want you're going to end up like with the French and having bright blue and red and stuff. That's going to make you a target.
Right. Fun fact about that, just a little bit of a reverse to moments in history. The French in World War I, for most of the conflict, had bright red pants that were responsible for over 1,000 French deaths. Just very costly in that conflict. Oh.
Vive les stupides!
Vive la stupid, indeed. But the officers, and don't be like this. So this is why I'm bringing up the officers. Don't be, well, I just think it looks cool and it shows my pride. Well, it's going to get you killed. So quit it.
One of the last things I would like to show the audience, John, and it's at the very bottom.
Oh yeah, let's go down.
Is another concept that's very interesting that the French do, but also the Israelis picked
yes,
up.
The head netting stuff.
This
kind
is
of
called a miznit.
I like it, man.
And it's a headdress that you put over your helmet. And when the American troops and stuff first saw this, they're like, "Oh, that's the stupidest thing I have ever seen. That looks idiotic," but it actually works.
I like it. I think that's dope.
It breaks up your outline really well. The one right above the very bottom there is actually an Israeli.
Yeah, I was wondering where I'd seen that before. I was like, which Middle Eastern? I was like, what? No, that's IDF. Yeah, the IDF are very common seen wearing these. And what's nice about them, too, is they can, of course, easily stretch over a helmet, even a doughboy helmet. But they can also...
I've thought about even getting one for me.
I kind of just want to get one as a normal day-to-day hat. That just looks dope,
I kind of think you would need something pretty big over to stretch over the top.
Maybe because this top one doesn't look like he's wearing much of a helmet.
He is.
You can see the straps. Yeah,
straps out the side.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like he's wearing much of a helmet because that's how big and baggy it is. But that's actually that's the plus of it. It breaks up that the human eye looks for non-nature shapes, and this dome shape, we instantly recognize that as a human head.
Oh.
And so what that's doing is that's breaking up that pattern, so our eye doesn't pick up on that.
So
and it's
Patriot
very
76 has commented, and he brought up an interesting point, which is kind of these. I know that the Chinese police use these, but you can buy a 3A face mask. What are your opinions on that? Let me go ahead and throw that up for the audience. You can
The
see
face
that.
masks, they're stupid.
Yeah, I was about to say you can see that in my stream there, War Spirit, what that looks like. But yeah, so audience, I have that pulled up. This is your standard 3A face mask, which you could camo. But personally, that's, in my opinion, that kind of blocks your peripheral. And if
Yeah,
you already have a
that's
helmet
idiotic.
on, like, I just don't really see much of the point. You can get this if you're worried about getting shot in the face, and you could be kind of a juggernaut, I guess. But, I don't know. I just don't see... I think it's like a bit of extra weight. It's a very specific, kind of thing. It restricts your breathing, which is another problem. It's just a very, like, situational specific. I guess if you were breaching a building, it'd be nice. But other than that, like, sitting around in cover and, like, recon, scout missions, everything else, I just don't see a point. It looks cool and intimidating as hell, as Patriot 76 said. But I just, personally, I'd just save your money for a really good helmet.
It's gonna really screw with your vision. I wouldn't want one. It's gonna, in my opinion, it's gonna get you killed.
Yeah.
There's another, and I know Patriot 76 has mentioned these before too, and they're very prevalent. I'm not a big fan of helmet covers like these, but I mean, they're all the rage right now for high cuts. You can get different colors. You can even get multicam. This one, I'm not for sure what kind of camo this is. I just threw that up there as an example. But you can also get helmet covers for these, so you don't have to paint them.
Right.
They're anywhere from, I think, $20 to $35 on Amazon. But here's another thing. I don't like hanging unnecessary crap off my head. Okay, I got my helmet, I got my ear pros, and patches. They don't weigh nothing. But this is a whole nother cover. So that's, in my opinion, it's going to add probably another at least half a pound, maybe a pound on your head.
What would you say about the Israeli thing there? Because that camo looks like it'd be perfect for us here too.
I am a big fan of that, and yeah, that one's going to add some weight, but that one has multiple benefits. It gets the sun out of your eyes.
That's true.
It protects you from the sun. We live in the desert. In the summertime, it's freaking hot. It's also going to insulate you. In the wintertime, it's probably going to be a little bit warmer in there. You're like, well, what about in the summertime? Well, there's a lot of dead airspace in there, right?
Yep.
And what do the Arabs do with layers of cloth?
They keep themselves cool.
Cool, correct. So again, and this is proven in Israel. It's hot there.
It's hot as hell in Israel.
Yeah, and so if it works there, it's going to work here. I honestly am probably going to end up getting one.
You know what? What are they called? Mishnits?
Mishnits. I don't know if I'm actually enunciating that correctly. I wished we had an Israeli to tell us different. But see, here's the cool thing. Hold on. Copy image. Here's the one I'm going to get. One like it anyways.
What are those called? Okay, you're going to get one. Let me see what that is here. Dude, multicam. I like it. Let me throw that up on the thing here for everyone to see. Captures. No, not quite that.
There is only one, dare I say, drawback to this, and actually I'll give you an answer for making it okay. It will still be okay. So you might have some interference if you're running nods with this.
That's true.
But here's the thing: it's elastic. You pull it up, you pull it out, fold your nods up if you're not using them, and if you want them, you pull it out again and fold your nods down.
That's good stuff, man. I
no
like
factor.
that a lot. No factor. Joe Biden.
Right. Good.
Listen to Jocko Willink. He'll teach you a lot. I think
That's
that
right.
about.
That's both of those phrases, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I got from Jocko Willink. No factor.
Ooh, it looks like
good.
this Israeli soldier here's got a multicam setup too. Let me throw that up here. Oh, my files are too powerful. Apparently, it's way too high of a. But you can see it, War Spirit. Let me go ahead and throw that on the screen. But you can see that in my stream. Yeah, that looks dope, man. I like that a lot. Yeah, it looks like they've also adapted to multicam.
Yeah. Well, they take pretty much all of our
Yeah, I like that.
all of
man.
our stuff, you know.
I like those covers, dude. That is the coolest dang crap. Like, I know, like, a lot of people, like, I don't know. But I'm the kind of guy, I just like interesting headwear.
Well, see, and I really don't care if it's interesting. I care if it works.
And that looks
And
like it works tactically. That's why I love it so much.
It works. Yes, it works. There's been guys that have talked about it in other military stuff. And they're like, "Oh, this is the stupidest looking thing I've ever seen, but it works." Okay, so take the Marine Corps, one of the Marine Corps rules. If it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid.
Yeah.
Here's one of my favorite IDF images. I'm gonna throw this up here, of some IDF soldiers wearing it, and I just think it's freaking dope.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, that's freaking sick.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Middle Eastern headwear, and I need to order me one. What it's called. Whatever. I'll show it to you after the show. I'll see if I can find it.
You know, these guys don't look like they are wearing helmets, so maybe very well you could do it without a helmet.
Right. It just looks like it'd kind of keep you cool on a summer day, you know.
Yeah, it's got the same
kind of like a
thought process
breathing.
as a sombrero.
Yeah, it's like a breathing. It's a breathable boonie cap. Is kind of the way I'm seeing it. Anyways, I think that about covers it, War Spirit.
Yeah, I think it does. So bottom line, guys, whether you go with what is more considered a bargain helmet like I bought, or if you want to go whole hog and get a Team Wendy or something, bottom line is make sure that it is level 3A NIJ certified, no matter what it is, and make sure that you get it camoed in some way, whether it be a cover or paint or something. Don't leave it black, and get you some hearing protection for it if it's a high cut. That's all I got.
Good, man. You want to lead us out in prayer?
Yeah, sure. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Father God, and I thank you for everything that you've done for us, Lord. I pray that you just watch over us, keep us safe, help us to have an amazing day, Lord. We pray, Father, that you would just use us in mighty ways to tell others about you. Lord, I thank you for our audience. I pray that you would help Is Today That A Media to grow so we can reach more of you out there. We ask for this all in your precious holy name, Jesus. Amen. Do you hear the random dogs outside my house howling?
But I also have heard a lot of dogs and stuff around my neighborhood too.
What in the world? Something's up.
Something's happening. They're putting chemicals in the air to make our dogs bark.
That's right. Turning them gay.
Man, so the hat I was talking about is called a packle.
Packle.
Yeah, very common hat amongst arid Russian / Afghani cultures, and was actually commonly worn by British operators in the Middle East. It was also worn by Taliban. So kind of like, pick your poison. But I'll go ahead and throw that up. You can, I think, if my stream's still running there, you can probably see it. That's kind of an interesting thing. Not really tactical, but kind of kind of neat. There,
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that.
so. You ain't into the whole Haji hat. I get a kick out of that little emoji. Made in
Yeah,
Pakistan.
I'm not gonna do the. I'm
That's
not gonna do the goat. The
great.
goat. I call that the goat herder hat.
I love it. I think that's cool. I might give me one.
Hey, by all means, if that floats your boat, I am definitely gonna get one of these Mignonette hats. In fact,
Yeah,
that's what
dude.
I'm looking for one for sale right now.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was an absolute pleasure. You can find our Facebook page at facebook.com/ITTDM. That's Is Today the Day Media abbreviated. You can find that in our description. We bring you different tips on survival, tactics, and preparedness in these uncertain times. We are both Christian individuals based out of San Juan County in Farmington, New Mexico. We hope to see you again next week at 9 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We do these shows every week. So if you have any ideas for the show, let us know. If you have anything like for us to pray for or anything, go ahead and message us at our Facebook page. We are happy to help. So thank you. Have a good rest of your night, and God bless.